law of attraction. You can never get away from it. It's like the law of gravity. It's always present, it's always active, it's always there. So just learning law of attraction started when I was like 20. I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and then after that, a few years later, I read the Asking It Is Given, Abraham Hicks. But currently I'm right into Sammy Ingram. She's doing the robotic affirmations. That's when I realised that everything is repetition. Because when you're at school, you learn numbers, learn your times tables by repetition. Also, you learn your name when you're a baby because you've heard it repeating so many times. That's how you learn to walk. You've repeatedly seen your mother walking, your father walking, and that's when it dawned on me, everything is about repetition, basically. And that's why things are repeated to you by certain establishments. It's so that it's ingrained and that you remember it. And it's a seed, so if you do the same with your manifestations, like if you just repeat that, currently I like the umbrella affirmations, particularly everything is wonderful. If you do that on repeat, what you're doing is you're planting the seed in your brain for everything to be wonderful. And it does work because the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real. It just knows what you tell it. It's basically a printer. That's a new one I've heard I like. Your brain is there to print out what you give it, basically. So if you're telling it that everything is wonderful, then everything in your life will be wonderful. Or if you wake up when you're having a bad thought, that tends to, it's a domino effect that tends to follow from that. That's when I really realised the power of your mood, your attitude, and your overall perspective. Because we like to complain. It's just kind of in our nature sometimes. But if you've got a thought that's a negative thought and you've repeated it enough, then that just kind of spirals and you'll see more to complain about. So it's getting into that discipline, I suppose, because it is a muscle. In the beginning, I would say you have to kind of force yourself to think the better thought. Pivoting, Abraham calls it. You have to pivot and think what would be the better thought to the one that I'm thinking. And it's a case of mentally moving that thought. Don't know why my straps keep trying to fall off. But it's a case of trying to choose the thought that feels better. That's Abraham's way of saying it, which is basically saying pivot. And it is effort in the beginning, because if you've been thinking a certain way for a certain amount of time, you're more likely to lean into that. You're more likely to continue to think that way. It's like when you go to the gym and you've not been there for a few years. That first time back in the gym won't be easy. It'll be awkward, it'll be strenuous, it'll be tiring, it might be embarrassing, it'll be stressful. But after you've been there every day that week, that becomes easier and you're more likely to want to go to the gym because you've then got that momentum. Abraham talks a lot about the momentum. Once that's up and running, basically it's easier to stay in that rhythm, and it's the same as thinking. That's what I've realised. Like, I've caught myself on a train of thought, and I've realised that's why events unfolded the way they did. And it starts with the thought that I was thinking. And we're conditioned for the brain to solve problems. But the more you solve problems, the more problems appear. Because it's all about momentum, which leads back to repetition. But the main driver is the starting point, which is the thought that you're thinking, and everything comes from that. I just don't believe there's such a thing as coincidence or luck. Everything is created in you, basically, by what you're thinking, what you're feeling. That's why they call the God in you, which is your imagination. And when I realised this, I realised it's a lot simpler than what I thought it was. Let me see if this is gonna sit. So it's a lot simpler than what I initially thought, because I think we're just built to overcomplicate everything. That's what your mind is there for. It's there to solve problems, so it likes to overcomplicate everything. So when I thought, when I seen the robotic affirmations, I was thinking, I think that's too easy. It cannot be as easy as that. Let's move over here. But then I realised, it was explained to me that when you look back, when you're just born, the only way you learn your name is because it's repeated to you. When your mother or your father or whoever's your carer is shouting on you, or that your name's always repeated. So that's how you learn your name as a baby. And then comes school, when you're learning your numbers and the alphabet. You only learned that through repetition. You never just woke up and you knew numbers and the alphabet. It was repeated to you. It's the same like if you watch the news, it's the negative news that's repeated. That's why people have got like a scarce, I would say, a fearful mindset, because they're watching like bad stories a lot of the time. People that watch TV. I threw my TV away when I was 15. I think I never knew at the time, but I think subconsciously I knew that it wasn't good for me. So at the time I never knew that. Like, people thought that was crazy, that I was getting rid of my TV, but I just knew. I just felt like a conditioning. So yeah, that never stopped me from getting into YouTube right enough. But that's the biggest kind of realisation that I've came across lately, that it's all repetition, everything. And because everything that was ever created starts in the human mind, that means that it's very important that you look at what you're thinking on a daily basis, on a moment to moment, because that's manifesting. You're always manifesting. There's never a period when you're not, because it's impossible to not manifest, because every moment is a manifestation, and your basic decision is to decide if you want to manifest on default by just letting your mind do whatever, or you can actually take responsibility and make the decision to think on purpose, and that way you're then in the driver's seat. And when you're in the driver's seat, that is just when the magic happens.